This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Romboz Road. Before that, this video is brought to you by Rick Wharf and E10 Marin. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Romboz Road is a map that can be found in the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for PC only. Now, this is a 4X map, which is why this map is available for PC only. We have yet to see a 4X map released for console. Let's read a little bit of the description. Welcome to the Romboz Road. You are in France in the breeding region of Comtois, or the Comtois horse, but also an area where the famous cheese La Comté is produced. My French is horrible, so I'm sure I butchered both of those, and, well, I really can't do much about that. This map includes 60 arable fields of all sizes, 20 pastures, 20 forest areas, 5 ready-to-use slots to build your own farm, 3 stores to sell your productions, 1 sawmill, and in easy mode, you will have a fully equipped farm. Explore the forest and you will find smugglers' stories. Cultivate large plots of up to 30 hectares or focus on cattle breeding to produce cheese. So I have to say this, explore the forest, you will find smugglers' stories is rather interesting, but I do know that this map does indeed include 20 collectibles. So quite possibly that is what the map author is alluding to there in the description. Now, this map does include 1 listed required mod as the placeable power pole line. So we are going to use that. That is going to be active during the map video. And we're also going to use the other mods that we typically use when we take a look at map settings: additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Let's go ahead and bring the log as we load on in. As I said, in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will start out with absolutely nothing at the main farm, no farmland, no machinery, and no buildings. So if you are looking to play this map in multiplayer, that might be an interesting mode to start out with, because basically no one has anything at the start. You can buy your land and start building your farms however you should so wish. So here we are in new farmer mode, or as the description said, in easy mode. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. We'll zoom on out. This map does include all of the standard crops that are available to us here in Farm Sim 22. And if we take a look at the lands area, you'll see that we start out by owning the main farm, which includes this field and this pasture. It is not numbered, as well as field 35, field 40, and then we have another pasture here, and then all of our animals are down here in this area. Now, as far as other buildable areas on the map, we do have several. So we have an area over here that we can buy on the west of the map, 11.38 acres in size. It is buyable for $138,000. We have another plot right here, which is by field 27 and 26, 4 acres in size. It is basically $49,000. We have an area right here by field 18 and 19, which is 5 acres in size and is $61,000. Now, this area up here and this area over here, they are basically areas of sell points. So while those are kind of looking like buyable and placeable areas for starting your farm out, those are actually used by sell points, as is this area down here in the southwest corner. We have 2 production items now over here. Now these are outside of our owned land. That is on this plot of land right here. And we also have several greenhouses up here north of field 35. Let's go ahead and jump up to our farmland lease screen. This screen is going to be used to show us all of the owned and buyable farm lands, which fields those farmlands are associated with, how big the actual buyable farmlands are, and then how much those are going to cost us. So you see we start up owning field or farmland 35, which is associated with field 35, farmland 40, which is tied to field 40. It's always nice when the fields and farmland numbers correspond. Then we have farmland 81 and 82, and 81 is going to be where our main farm is located, and that is viable for $1.4 million. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through the remaining list of viable farmlands, and you can take a look and see the field numbers as well as how much those are going to cost and how big those are. And then in a minute, we are going to actually cross-reference the farmlands and the farmland size with our field calculator screen, which is going to show us the individual fields and how big each of those individual fields are going to be. Overall, I have to say, I think the land is rather cost effective here on this particular map. Looking at the field calculator screen, you'll see that field 35 is 6.74 hectares. Field 40 is 12.11. Let's go ahead and continue to scroll on down through here. This is a 4X map, as I said, which means that the fields are going to be much larger than they would initially appear on the PDA, because we are looking at the PDA kind of size normalized. So when you zoom out on the PDA, it looks the same size if it's a standard size map or if it's a 4X map. And if you don't know what that means, a 4X map means that it has 4 times the land mass of a standard map. Let's go ahead and see how the soil map applies to this particular map. Now, this is using the generic soil map, and as you can see that we have basically for most of these fields, multiple soil types per field with a fair bit of loam and silty clay to the north, bit of sandy loam and loamy sand here in the middle of the map, and then down in the southwest, a bit of loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand. And then over here to the southeast, mostly silty clay and loam. When we take a look at our crop counter, we do have the standard base game crop counter available on this particular map. And if we look at our prices screen, you will see that we do have the ability to sell all of the base game crops that we can indeed grow on this particular map. We have the ability to sell all of those. But what we do not have the ability to sell, oddly enough, is wool. So if you are going to play this map with sheep, you will need to put down your own wool sell point. We do have the ability to sell milk and eggs, just do not have the ability to sell wool. Something else that we do not have the ability to sell is grass or hay. So I find that rather interesting that we do have the ability to sell silage at 3 sell points, but we do not have any place where we can sell our hay or grass. We do have multiple sell points for our straw. And then as we move down through our production areas, we do have the ability to sell all of the base game production items that we could produce on this map. But we do not have the ability to buy bulk lime. That's not that big of a deal. We just will have to go to the store or put our own bulk lime buy point down. And we also do not have the ability to sell any stones that we would collect off the fields. So again, if we do play with stones enabled, we will need to put down our own stone processing facility. You start out with a decent list of starting equipment. All of it is fairly new. All of it is owned. None of it is leased. We do have a cow barn, a pigsty, and a horse barn when we start out in new farmer mode, but we do not have any animals at the start. We do have contracts, and we actually have custom NPC portraits, which is kind of neat. We do also not own any production chains at the start. And as I said, this map does include 20 collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. Start out with the Kloss Arion 610 small tractor, Kloss Axion 800 medium tractor, and then the Kloss Axion 960 and 920 large tractor. We have the Kloss Trion 720 harvester that is paired up with both the Convaflex 1080 grain header and the Corano 875 FC corn header. We have then the Nardi N6035 header trailer. We have the Berthold Bruin 4200 sprayer, self-propelled sprayer. We have the Kloss Tryon 1150 or 1511 wheel loader. We have our 1986 pickup truck. We have the AgriLiner MUK 303 trailer. We have the PW 112 Couverland plow. We have the Rostel Smash K 12200 cultivator. We have the Vanderstand Rapid A 800S seeder. The Tempo L16 planter. We have the ULT 24 slurry tank spreader. We have our Silo King TMR mixer, as well as our Anderson straw blower. We have the Noah TTW 140 animal trailer. For our wheel loader, we have the high dump bucket, and then we have a 900 kilogram front weight. With that, let's go ahead and do our farm tour. There's not a whole lot going on here, but we do have a decent sized farm that we can continue to grow and build out our farm area. We can indeed sell everything that you see here on the farm, as well as down at the animal area. That includes the fence line. We can sell our farmhouse, which has our sleep trigger and our wardrobe trigger. Our main machine shed, located right here. Then we have a fuel tank, which is got 25,000 liters of fuel in it. And then our farm silo, which is currently empty. And this is a standard farm sim silo, so we have our dump point and our grain fill point. Now, I'm going to just quickly run down the road here in order to then get to our animal area. Again, this area is also owned at the start in new farmer mode. But in farm manager mode, this area down here could be its own independent player farm. So we have a water tank. We have a little storage shed with our straw chopper. We have our pigsty. We can put 108 pigs in this particular building. We have our food trough, our animal buy point, our slurry point. We have a horse pasture, 8 horses. We have the food point on the inside. Then we have our cow pasture. 45 cows in this particular building. We have our food trough located inside, our straw trigger in there. We have our milk point. Then our slurry point is going to be over on this side. And that, everybody, is the farm tour. And as I said, you can sell all of these buildings as well as the fence line. So you can indeed sell everything with respect to both areas when you start out. You can also sell all of your beehives, and we're going to go there right now. So let's go ahead and get set up for that fly around. We'll fly around the map, come back to our vehicle shop where we will get our Mahindra, and then we'll just drive around to the sell points in the southwest corner of the map, the sell points in the northwest corner of the map, and then the one sell point that is kind of center north to the map. As we get a little bit of altitude, we are basically looking straight toward 2 of the production facilities that are on the map. That's where we're going to go first. And speaking of production, there are 4 production areas built into the map. It is a dairy, a bakery, a carpentry, and a sawmill. Now, anywhere that you see this brown on the ground, that is forest area where the trees have not spawned in it. So as you see, as we get a little bit closer to those, the trees will spawn in. So you're going to see that as we progress flying around the map. And the map overall has a rather large amount of rolling terrain. So you are likely going to want to have step up in the horsepower category with your tractors because we do have quite a bit of rolling terrain. We're really going to see that over on field 35 when we get over there and look at those beehives. So coming up over here, two of our production areas, in fact, our carpentry and our sawmill are down below here. And just to save a little bit of time during the drive around, because this is a 4X map, it is going to take a little bit of time to drive around to these. We'll just take a look at those at this point. So we have our interactive icon around the back. We have our spawn point for our furniture planks, our furniture there. Then we have our dump point for our planks or our wood located right there. We have our carpentry right here. So I was a little mistaken. I thought that was our carpentry, but okay. That must be our sawmill. Here we have our eye trigger. We have our wood chips. We have our log sell point and our pallet spawn point. So one way we know that this is a 4X map is if you pay attention to the coordinates down in the mini map. You'll see that currently we're at 3719 by 2851. So a standard size map is going to max out at 2048 by 2048 as far as the coordinates go. So if we have coordinates greater than 2048, then that means that we are definitely on a map that is larger than standard size, and typically the next size up is going to be a 4X map, which is going to be double the width and double the height of a standard map. So that would be 2048, so that'd be 4096 by 4096 would be the max for a standard size map. And here we have a very, very large forest over here on the eastern side. And let's rotate and make our way over here to where we have some beehives to start. These are owned by Farm 1. We get down a little lower, you can see the rolling terrain that we've got here. Field 35 is basically a giant hillside of grass. And here we have 4 beehives. And then we have the pallet spawn point located right there within the trees. It's a little hard to see because it's right there where we have the kind of the undergrowth of the forest. $72. Okay. Go ahead and make our way toward the kind of middle center of the map. We will be flying over one of the buildable areas between fields 18 and 19. So we have one of those other buildable areas located right there. But again, remember, we are talking about a 4X map, so the space on the PDA is awful deceiving compared to the actual space that you're going to have as far as landmass. We have the other buildable area located right over there. Then if we take this windy road, which is going up a hillside, okay, sometimes it's a little hard to tell about the inclination of the ground from an aerial view, which is really why we continue to do the drive around, because when you are down on the ground, you do get a much better sense of the scale of the elevation changes. And up here we have one of the sell points. Now this map has some pretty barren sell points, if you ask me. But as an interesting aside, all of this land can be bought. So you could buy this sell point and spruce it up a bit with placeable decorations, put down your own production, or pretty much do, once again, whatever you should so wish. So we have a sell point dump station. Then we have a pallet sell point located right there. Let's make our way over to the northwest corner. And as we do, let's take a look across the southern edge of the map. I think you can get a little better idea of the rolling terrain from this angle also. And if we look way, way off in the distance, we see a dark line kind of center to the screen. That is the southern map edge. So everything between here and there is going to be playable farmland. Do you think this would make a pretty darn good multiplayer map for some folks that were wanting to not only build out their own farms, but just kind of really have a go at it with decent sized equipment? Over here we have some more sell points. We have a grocery style sell point with the dump station there. We have another dump station located right here. Pallet sell point. We have our shop, which is located right there. Pretty straightforward, pretty basic. And then we have our shop dealer maintenance trigger right there. We have fuel buy point. And let's just speed down the western side of the map. As we do, we can look across the entire map over to the eastern side at this point in time. And again, we get a good sense of the rolling nature of the land. As we look across, I would say merging fields is probably not something that you're going to be doing with a whole lot of ease, other than coming in and, taking out some tree lines. But there aren't really any unnatural borders other than tree lines that would possibly be causing you any issues. Over here, as I said, if you see the big brown, that is all forest. It's just the trees aren't spawning in at. They have a low vis distance set. That was likely done in order to improve overall game performance. One surefire way to drop game performance is toss in a whole bunch of trees in a very small area. And then here we are looking at the last set of sell points. This is also where we're going to find our dairy and our bakery production. So we have our dairy located right there. We have our bakery. Then we have our grain sell point, our pallet sell point, and then our animal dealer located right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my way back up to the shop, where once again we'll get our Mahindra and we'll do our drive around. So I'll see you up there. Let's go ahead and get our Mahindra. We'll see where our vehicles spawn in at. We have a pretty decent sized area for our new vehicles to spawn. Then we have our dealer trigger over here. This is going to be to customize, repair, sell, trade, and repaint. Remember, you can only repaint here at the dealer. And just looking at this level, we've got a decent little grass area just around the dealer. Remember, you can buy all of the land, so you could even buy this area that we are sitting in right now. Now, you can't place anything down in the vehicle spawn point area, but you could add more things, you know, around that. Really sure that this is a workable shed. We might as well just go ahead and check it. Is indeed, so you can use that for vehicle storage or whatever. We have a grain point, we have a pallet point, and then a market sell point. Oh, wow. Wow, let's just jump in. Have at this point and just look at the drop in the terrain elevation. Definitely an decline here. Definitely a decline. So we got field 4 to our left, field 3 to our right. What I'm doing is I'm trying to make my way over to the area that is north center to the map. Basically over in that general direction. See how we have these rolling hills, as I've said multiple times. Really nice. Really like the way the terrain changes here. Like this windy road. You know, it's not shooting straight across the land. It's kind of going up and down, or a little curve here, a little curve there. And dude, you all are just walking out in the middle of nowhere, eh? Let's see, now at this point we can see how the road is going to wind its way up. Yeah, don't walk in the middle of the road, people. Jeez. Do not walk in the middle of the road. We see the AI traffic over there. That is where we are actually headed to. And here we have our grain sell point and our pallet sell point. It would be nice to see these areas kind of gussied up a little bit. So this particular sell point is the Grand View. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it the Grand View. Where we started out at, that is the Marché, right? Totally butchering all of these. Then we have the supermarket. Now we're going to go and continue back the way we came. Looks like this road, this AI road, just continues off the edge of the map, so we're not going to take that. But we're going to come back here, and then we're going to make our way down. We're going to follow this windy road down, which is going to go past both starting areas. We'll be able to swing in and check these out. And then it should continue on and eventually make its way over here. I'm hoping. I'm hoping we don't have to drive all the way back up and then back down. I'm hoping somehow this is going to connect to that. Let's be a little wishful. So as we are making our way across this fine map, let's talk a little bit about the ratings. So we have 4 built-in production areas. So we are going to go ahead and give the map a full point in regard to having production built in or areas set aside for that. If you are playing this map in single player, congratulations. That is a feat in itself to play a 4X map in a single player, but we do have folks that will do that. There is plenty of areas around the map because the entire map is buyable that you could put down additional production if you want to get into that kind of thing. So we are going to give the map a full point there. We will be knocking a quarter of a point off with respect to the ability to sell all the base game crops, products, and animal outputs, because we do not have the ability to sell wool, nor do we have the ability to sell hay or grass. Now, we are not necessarily deducting points off because we don't have bulk line point, nor because we are missing a stone processing area, but we will be knocking points off because of the wool, the grass, and the hay, and it is going to be a quarter point there. The farms can indeed be customized, so we are going to give the map a full point there. We can remove the fencing, we can remove all of the buildings at both areas in new farmer mode, in the farm manager mode, or start from scratch, basically medium or hard modes. We are going to be starting out with no buildings, no land owned, and no vehicles owned at the start. But there are ample areas around the map, like this one right here, to build your own kind of starting area. Now, we did find that the main starting area is rather expensive because it does include a unnumbered field and a large grass pasture, whereas some of these other starting areas are going to be a bit more affordable because they do not include any land at the start. Whoa, big downhill. I mean, look at that field. Where are we at? Field, what is this? Field 34. Oh, that's a monster of an incline right there. Buildings where appropriate are using indeed the new texture technique because, well, the buildings are FS22 buildings where they do exist. The buildings are rather Spartan around the map, other than our production and the buildings at the main farm in new farmer mode. But where they do exist, they are indeed using the new texturing stuff. So here we have 72. So maybe this is talking about like forestry area 72. Oh, looks pretty cool. I don't know if it's the frame rate hit is just noticing in the recording or not, but I think it's maybe all this foliage down here on the ground that might be really causing that. That may or may not be really coming through in the recording. It does feel a little jittery for me when I am down in these general areas. come up out of this kind of valley. We've got field, the unnumbered field that is part of the starting farmland here on our left. We have the field 40 over here to our right. The starting farm. Just down the road, then we have the starting animal area, or in Farm Manager or Start from Scratch, this could be its own viable farm area or building area. And the road just ends. We do have some grass here, or dirt, so let's make our way around and hope this does connect down to the southwest corner. As we drive down there, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the last metric, and that is trigger in interactive areas clearly marked. I'm going to knock a quarter of a point off. There's a couple areas that I think are a little less clear. I mean, the area at the carpentry and sawmill was a little confusing. Got a signpost with no sign here, but okay. So overall, we are going to give the map a score of 4.5 out of 5. A very respectable score. Nonetheless, we have seen a lot of really nice looking maps come in at that 4.5 mark. So it should be no real hit on the map at all. But like I said, when we get down here, I think it's just this foliage. I think it's this ferns. I think it's these ferns that are doing it. Now let's go and see if there's a little bit of a trick here in getting rid of this fern. And we're going to come in here and we are going to plant. Do we have the ferns? No. Let's come in here and let's just paint dirt and see what happens. So we can paint and the ferns go away. So that's good to see. So after you clear out an area, you can indeed get rid of that. We have all the fairly standard base game FS22 painting textures. Yeah, I think it's the ferns that are causing my particular system some rendering lag. As we come through here. So I do think I can indeed kind of loop over to that area, but man, look at that field 50. Maybe we'll see the map get updated and this foliage be removed. I'm just really concerned at this point at how the game might perform for others with these ferns and all this undergrowth, because it's some pretty heavy foliage under all of this forested area. This would be a pretty nice shortcut as opposed to having to drive all the way around the map on the paved road. And here we are. And this is where our dairy is. If you remember, this is also where our bakery is, as well as our animal dealer and another grain sell point. So we have our dump station for our bakery, our pallet spawn point. We have our interactive trigger there. We have a grain sell point. We have a pallet sell point. We have our animal dealer. Right there. And then we have our dairy. Now the dairy, we have our dump point. We do not have the markers showing where the pallets are going to spawn, but we just happen to know that our pallets are going to spawn here. We don't have those markers. So again, this goes back to the quarter of a point off with respect to player and interactive triggers being clearly marked. Then we have our buy trigger around the front, which is really around the back, the way this building is positioned. So guys, let me know what you all think down in the comments below for the Romboz Road. This is a 4X map that is available for PC players only. It is available over at the Giants Mod Hub or the in-game downloadable content menu. And until next time, happy farming.